Thank you very much for watching my film. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I bring out a bikepacking film just like this every single month. So this is the part of the video where I run through the behind the scenes, the route, what happened off camera so that you can learn a little bit more about that. And if you want to tackle the route yourself, I'll run through that and leave the links to the routes as always in the description so you can download those for free. Now, I've got to be honest, Tuscany was not up in my top 10 list of places that I wanted to go this year. But the reason I decided to do a bikepacking trip there is because we actually went on this very trip to our friend's wedding and decided to tie in a bikepacking trip to the holiday. My girlfriend was a bridesmaid at the wedding, so it meant that there was a couple of days where she was doing bridesmaid stuff and I had nothing to do, so it was ideal for a little bikepacking adventure. So I flew to Pisa from Manchester and we hired a car, shoved all the bike stuff and all our luggage in the car and drove down to a tiny little village called Castelvecchio, which was literally in the middle of nowhere, incredibly beautiful, lots of vineyards and farms, very quiet and peaceful. We were very lucky because the week before had been intense heat waves, like in the mid 40s, unbearably hot. It's dropped down to sort of 26, 27 degrees, which is absolutely fine. Definitely don't want it much hotter than that with my fair skin. We were staying in our own private borgo away from the wedding area, just for bridesmaids and the bride and groom, etc. And it was absolutely stunning. We were on top of a hill, incredible vista all around us, and our own private swimming pool. So it was a little bit different to what I normally do, where I'm out camping in the middle of nowhere. This was a little bit more luxurious than that. So on day one, I set off really early to make the most of my free day and cycled to a tiny little town called Radicofani. It was a beautiful, amazing location with a castle on top of a hill, and it was like a walled town, so it was obviously very ancient. To get to Radicofani, I followed some amazing, quiet gravel farm tracks around the borgo, over some of the hills and mountains, and into the rural Italian countryside, which was absolutely stunning. I hardly saw anybody for the entire day. I took the gravel bike for this trip, the Cannondale Topstone, fitted with 2-inch Panaracer tyres, which were absolutely perfect for this sort of riding. Dry, loose gravel. I didn't need suspension, I didn't need anything beefier than that. Half of it was on road and half of it was on these beautiful farm gravel tracks. I was doing a little bit of a figure-of-8 loop on day one. The plan was to loop out into the countryside and eventually work my way back to near the borgo, where I was planning on using the bivvy to stay somewhere in the middle of nowhere, but I knew I wasn't too far away from the house or my girlfriend if she needed me, so it was kind of a good compromise there. I've decided to follow a route that I had made up on Map My Ride earlier in the year. I saw on the map that there was a cycle route, which is like a dotted green line, that I decided to plot the route against. I thought it might be some road route that was maybe like a National Cycle Network route like we have here in the UK. It turns out it was actually part of an amazing pilgrimage route that I had never heard of before, but I'm so keen to do now, called the Via Francigena. The Via Francigena is a pilgrimage route that takes you from Canterbury in Kent in the southeast of England across France down to Rome. So it's an amazing long distance journey and something that I would definitely like to tackle in the future if I had time to do so. I saw a couple of people bikepacking the route, but that was literally it. But I have seen subsequently people talking about it online, so it's obviously a well-known route. It was just something that I'd never heard of. From the bit that I rode, if it's like that for the whole way, it's absolutely worth doing because it was undulating gravel, amazing scenery and hardly anybody about. Proper isolation and lovely quiet tracks, so definitely something to check out and research if you're thinking of doing a long distance route at some point. So I made it back to within 5 or 6 miles from the borgo and I camped in the bivvy, just off a farm track in the middle of nowhere really. I only brought my Sea to Summit fleece liner. I didn't bring a sleeping bag because it was so hot the week before I thought I'm going to be absolutely roasting and it was unnecessary weight. Because it wasn't as warm, it was still okay. It dropped to like 21, 22 degrees at night, so that was absolutely fine for that fleece liner. But if it dropped any colder, I probably would have regretted not bringing the sleeping bag, to be honest. Day 2, the plan was to do a slightly smaller loop on some more gravel tracks that I hadn't been on before, in and around Radicofani again, and then up to Continano, the tiny little village. through some vineyards and over some incredible hills before heading back to the Borgo for the second night. I had to be back by a certain time because that was the night of the wedding. The wedding was on fairly late in comparison to some weddings we've been to before. So if I didn't get back in time, I was going to be in big trouble. So I had to really put the hammer down on this day. I couldn't do as many miles as I wanted, but it was either that or risk my relationship and ruining the wedding for everybody else. So I had to make the right decision there. I hope you enjoyed that slightly shorter film this month. Next month I am bringing out probably my biggest adventure film ever. It's somewhere I went on slightly earlier in the year. It was unbelievable adventure and I can't wait to show you that film. There's only a couple more films left in 2023, so please help me to reach 10,000 subscribers. I can't believe I'm saying that. By the end of the year. Anything you can do goes a long way. So like this video, comment, share with your friends, and make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.